What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Destroy with Astrodfs. Today we are talking about tight ends. Tight ends, I think, is the most interesting play this week. Gonna be finding out who is gonna go off. It's kind of difficult. There's a lot of options and there's a lot of sleepers this week, in my opinion. So right off the bat, we're just gonna start by the most expensive by far. Travis Kelce at 7,100. They're playing Baltimore. Uh, I'll continue to say this all week now. It's going to be a shootout. Everyone on Kansas City is going to get points. Everyone on Baltimore is going to get points. The only one that's not going to get points is those defenses. That's it. At 7,100, though, I don't know if Kelce is really the play. I like other options for way cheaper than Kelce at 7,100. I don't know how Baltimore defense is going to be against Kelce. I feel way more opportunities in all three receivers than Kelce. Kelsey's not a bad play at all, but in my opinion, there's three or four different guys that are better options, cheaper, that can get almost the same points, if not more, than Kelsey's going to get. So I'm probably going to fade Kelce this week in all lineups. Next is the guy that's the most interesting, is Zach Ertz at 5,700. They're playing Detroit. Detroit against tight ends is okay this year. We really haven't seen a good sample size for tight ends against Detroit. Hunter Henry was hurt in Arizona. I'm not even sure who their tight end is, to be exactly 100% honest. So we really haven't got to see a good sample size. But with Deshaun Jackson out, Alshon Jeffrey is questionable, and they do have a third receiver hurt, I do believe. So it's just going to be Aguilar, Ertz, Sanders, pretty much as the only options. Ertz last year had very good numbers whenever either Alshon or any other of the receivers went down, whether it be the number one, number two, number three receiver. Any of those guys went down, Zach Ertz production went up. Just because he got to see more targets, and Zach Ertz is a great tight end. So we could see a huge week out of him. He's one of the tight ends that I love. Next, we have George Kittle at 5,600 against Pittsburgh. I think George Kittle has a breakout game. We have yet to see him have that big game. If he's going to do, it's going to be against Pittsburgh, just because they have good corners. Their linebacker core is not the best. So I think the corners are going to lock down the receivers for the most part. We might see Jimmy Garoppolo throw a little more than usual. And Kittle's probably going to be that guy being targeted. So at 5,600, like I said, Ertz, great play. Kittle's a great play. 57, 56. Next is Evan Ingram. They are playing Tampa Bay. So this is kind of a more interesting one, just because we haven't seen Daniel Jones except for the preseason. The only receiver that I believe is going to be in this week is Fowler. Lattimore might be, but Ingram is still a great play. Like, Tampa Bay should blow out the Giants, depending on how Daniel Jones plays. So Ingram might get to see a lot of targets. I don't know if he's going to see a lot of yards or touchdowns, but he's definitely going to see a lot of targets. He's going to get receptions. He's definitely a really good play at 5,200. Tampa Bay is not the best at covering tight ends either, so that's a very good play. And we're just going to go down $600 cheaper to Mark Andrews, who is questionable, and I did not see his report for questionable. 90 minutes. So that one's definitely one you're going to have to watch for. Like I said, that whole game is just going to be a high scoring game. Should be. No one can tell for certain, but it should be. So Mark Andrews at 4,600, he is probably one of the best tight ends this season, if not the best. Him and Jackson have found a really good connection, especially last week, and Kansas City does not play good against tight ends. So Andrews at 4,600, a really good play. Next is Vance McDonald, who had a really good game last week with Rudolph for the most part, I think it was. So we might see another game where McDonald has a really good game, just because we don't know what we're going to see out of Rudolph. Typically, tight ends and running backs are backup quarterbacks' number one go-to when they start seeing pressure. And if San Francisco is going to be smart, they are going to pressure Mason Rudolph. So expect to see Vance McDonald and either Connor or Samuels. I think it's going to be Connor. I see a lot more receptions than normal, but I'm not sold on McDonald yet. But we are going to go $200 cheaper on that and go to Darren Waller, who might be the one, I would like to say, the safest cash play here at 4,100. Like right in the middle of all tight ends. If Williams and Jacobs do not play, Waller is probably one of the best tight end options because he's going to get targets and receptions because Carr has no one else to throw to. J.J. Nelson, I think, is doubtful, and Renfro is probably going to be a really good play now that I'm looking at it, with Williams and Jacobs being gone. So Darren Waller at 4,100 is probably one of the best plays you could play here. Jimmy Graham is questionable. I did not know he was questionable until today. Sounds like Graham will play. So he was hurt last week. And they're playing Denver. Denver's defenses look really good under Vic Fangio. So at 4,000, I'm not trusting Jimmy Graham here, especially if he's hurt. Eric Ebron, we've yet to see him and Brissett really get a good connection. They're playing Atlanta. Atlanta has been pretty decent against tight ends this season. But like I said, I would rather go Darren Waller at 4,100 than Eric Ebron at 38. We just haven't seen it. OJ Howard has not been included in Tampa Bay's offense yet this season. They said he's going to. I don't know. I really don't. Next is Jared Cook at 3,800 also against Seattle. He might see some targets and receptions this week, but I don't know. Michael Thomas couldn't even see any receptions last week, really. So Jared Cook, we've yet to see anything out of him. Next on the list is Jason Witten. Jason Witten is... So Waller's probably the better GPP. Great cash play. But I think the safest now that I'm seeing it is Jason Witten against Miami. He's going to get 10 points. Guarantee it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. He's going to get 10 points against Miami at least. He might get a little more. Don't expect him to get 20, 25, 30. That's asking way too much for old man Witten, but he's going to get you 10. He's probably going to get another touchdown because it's Miami, and Dak Prescott has really had a good connection of finding Witten in the red zone. Olsen was my favorite play this week, but he is questionable, and Cam Newton is out. I don't know if he is anymore. Austin Hooper is a great play against Indianapolis. We really haven't seen Indianapolis go crazy against tight ends. And I think this is Hooper's game that he starts seeing some targets and receptions. Hawkinson had the really good first game, and he did not have a good game last week against the Chargers. 3 targets, 1 reception for 7 yards. That was it at 3,500. Rudolph, have not seen the Rudolph we're used to. And Will Dissly had a good game last week. We could see it again, but I doubt it against New Orleans, but who knows? It could have just been a one-off, but can never be too sure on that. Tyler Eifert against Buffalo. I don't see Cincinnati beating Buffalo. I see Buffalo just destroying Cincinnati, so I wouldn't take it. And anyone else you're taking down here is just too much of a risk, plain and simple. So those are my tight ends that I like and tight ends that I don't like this week. Let me know who you guys like and don't like also. And let me know if I missed anyone that was in that $3,000 range and tell me why. So maybe I can do some research and see where I went wrong on it. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.